The baby elephant refused to move. Not even the roaring storm, the circling vultures, or the hungry lions closing in could pry her from her mother's lifeless body. Rangers shouted, rifles loaded, time was running out, and just when everyone thought she would die there beside her, a mud-soaked dog stepped between her and death, and everything changed. The storm had been raging for hours across the Mapalo Wildlife Reserve, turning the dirt roads into rivers of red mud and bending the acacia trees under sheets of relentless rain. Dr. Rachel Moore gripped the steering wheel of the rescue truck so tightly her knuckles had gone pale, but she didn't ease up. Not when the radio call had sounded the way it did. Shaky, rushed, and threaded with the kind of fear she hadn't heard from Ranger Noah in years. Lightning cracked open the sky ahead, illuminating the flooded landscape for a heartbeat, and in that flash, she saw the shapes of circling vultures. Her stomach tightened. She didn't need to be told what that meant. The tires fish-tailed as she braked near the coordinates Noah transmitted. Rain pounded the truck roof like thrown gravel. She killed the engine, grabbed her emergency kit, and pushed the door open into a wall of wind. Noah appeared out of the dark, rain streaming from his hat brim, breathless and shaken in a way that caught her attention immediately. "Rachel, you need to see this," he said, voice breaking toward a whisper. She followed him toward the half-collapsed clearing, her boots sinking ankle-deep in mud. The beam of Noah's flashlight swung ahead, jittering with his trembling hands. When it finally landed on the shape in the mud, Rachel stopped so abruptly the rain felt like it punched into her. There, lying on her side in the churned earth, was a massive female elephant. Still, silent, unmistakably gone. And pressed against her body, guarding her like a lone soldier at a fallen comrade's grave, was a calf so small Rachel's chest cinched in on itself. The baby elephant, later she would learn her name would be Luna, had her forehead pressed into her mother's ribs, as if trying to breathe life back into the body that could no longer rise. She squealed, a tearing, hollow sound that sliced across the storm like a wound opening. With each cry, she shoved her small weight against her mother, refusing to accept death as truth. Rachel felt her own lungs lock, the sound pulling her backward in time to the night she stood in a different storm beside a crushed sedan, staring at her younger sister's hand hanging limp through broken glass. The same desperate silence, the same sense of a universe cracking open. Noah stepped closer, but Luna wheeled toward him, trumpeting through her grief, ears flared wide and legs braced in front of her mother's body. Rachel instinctively raised a hand. "Don't push it," she murmured. "She's not just scared, she's breaking." Another flash of lightning flooded the clearing in white. For an instant, Rachel saw everything too clearly, the glistening mud, the vultures perched in a dead snag, the shadows shifting in the tall grass where predators were beginning to gather. The storm wouldn't hide them forever. She knew what happened when a calf refused to leave a dead mother. Predators would not hesitate. They'd go for the calf first, drawn to its movement, its panic, its weakness. They'd tear her apart within minutes. From behind them, Ranger Captain Kofi shouted over the wind, "We need to sedate her now. We don't have time. Look out there." He pointed toward the tree line. Two faint yellow glimmers, eyes watched them from the dark. Lions. Rachel's heart slammed against her ribs. "If we dart her," she argued, forcing her voice steady, "she'll wake up terrified, alone, and think we attacked her. That trauma could break her beyond repair. And if we don't?" Kofi's tone was razor-sharp. "She'll die here tonight." Noah's jaw clenched, and Rachel knew his mind was battling ghosts. He'd once hesitated too long on another rescue and watched an animal die in front of him. He wouldn't forget that easily. He looked at Rachel now, rain streaking his cheeks like tears. "We're running out of time." Before Rachel could answer, a small movement behind them caught her eye. Riley, her rescue dog, soaked to the skin, black fur plastered to his sides, slipped past her legs with quiet determination. "Riley, no, come here," she called, but the wind swallowed her voice. The dog padded forward through the mud, tail low, posture relaxed. He didn't bark. He didn't whine. He simply approached Luna with the same calmness he used around injured animals his whole life. Luna spun toward him, trunk raised in warning, breath flaring hot through the rain. Rachel held her breath. One wrong step, one wrong movement, and the calf could charge. But Riley stopped several feet away and slowly, deliberately, sat down, not staring, not challenging, just being there, present, soft, non-threatening. The wind eased for a moment, as if the storm itself paused to watch. Luna swung her trunk, sniffing the air. Instead of charging, she shuffled her feet, confused. She let out a low, trembling rumble, half grief, half question. Riley's ears twitched. He lowered his head slightly, then simply stayed still as though offering her a moment of quiet in a world roaring with pain. Rachel swallowed hard. "Look at her," she whispered to Noah. "She's not attacking him. She's reaching." Kofi shook his head in disbelief. "This is madness. A dog can't fix this." But Rachel wasn't listening to him anymore. She was watching Luna's eyes, dark, ancient with sorrow, lock onto Riley as if she were seeing something she didn't know she needed. The calf let out another soft, broken call. Riley responded with a small whine and gently placed a paw forward in the mud. Something shifted in that space between them, a fragile thread of trust, a breath, a heartbeat. The predators in the grass growled again, closer this time. "We need a decision," Kofi said. "Right now." Rachel stepped forward, rain streaming down her face, though she no longer knew if it was rain or tears. "Give me until sunrise," she said. "If she's not safe by then, you can do what you need to do." Kofi studied her for a long moment, lightning reflecting in his eyes. Then he nodded once. "Sunrise." Not a minute longer. The storm rolled on. Luna stood trembling beside her mother's body, torn between her grief and the strange comfort offered by the small creature sitting in the mud before her. Riley waited, steady, patient, silent, like he understood her heartbreak better than any human ever could. And as the night deepened around them, Rachel knew this rescue would be unlike any she'd ever faced. It wasn't just a battle against predators or weather or time. It was a battle against grief itself, and grief she knew could be the fiercest enemy of all. At that moment, with the wind howling through the broken trees, Rachel whispered into the storm, "Hold on, little one. We're not giving up on you. And if you're still with us, you're part of a remarkable community here at Whispering Hearts, where real stories of extraordinary animal connections come to life. Every subscriber helps us share more heart-touching moments that reveal the power of compassion across species. Don't forget to hit subscribe, because the journey ahead is one you'll feel long after the story ends." Now, she had until sunrise to prove that hope still had a place in a night like this. The storm had weakened by dawn, but the sky still hung low and bruised, as if the night's grief had seeped into the clouds themselves. Rachel stood beside the shelter tent the rangers had erected, rubbing the stiffness from her fingers while watching Luna from a distance. The calf had barely moved since the lightning faded. She remained pressed to her mother's side, her small frame trembling from cold, exhaustion, and a despair too deep for any creature that young to bear. Riley, soaked and muddy, still sat in the same patient posture a few yards away, refusing to abandon his vigil. Kofi paced near the rescue truck, arms crossed tightly against his chest, jaw working with a heavy grind of impatience. He checked the horizon where the sun was just beginning to bleed orange through the fading storm clouds. Noah stood nearby, repeatedly glancing between Luna and Rachel, caught between his sense of duty and the guilt that had towered over him since the last rescue he'd mishandled. "We're almost out of time," Kofi said, not raising his voice but letting the weight of his words cut through the damp morning air. Predators didn't leave. They're watching. They know the mother won't get up, and they know the calf is weak. Rachel didn't look away from Luna. Give me a little more time. Time. Kofi's frustration surfaced in a bitter scoff. Rachel, we gave you the entire night. She hasn't moved more than 3 feet. She hasn't eaten. She hasn't slept, and she won't leave the carcass. We both know what will happen if we stay passive. Grief or not, she'll die. Noah shifted his weight, mud sucking at his boots. Maybe we should at least prepare the tranquilizer rifle, he said quietly, eyes down. Just in case. Rachel turned to him sharply. If we dart her now, we're going to shatter whatever fragile ground Riley created last night. And if we don't, Noah murmured, we'll lose her. The tremor in his voice wasn't lost on Rachel. She stepped closer to him, the memory of his trembling hands during last night's call still fresh in her mind. You're thinking about that antelope, she said gently. His eyes flicked up, pain flashing behind them. I hesitated then, and the animal suffered because of me. I don't want to make that mistake again. This isn't the same, Rachel said. She's not running from us. She's grieving. You can't force grief out of a body. You can only guide it. Kofi cut in, voice gruff with impatience. This conversation is a luxury we don't have. Look, he pointed with his chin toward the tall grass. Through the wavering blades, a lioness crouched low, her golden coat nearly invisible against the wet earth. 2 more shapes shifted behind her. Rachel felt the air leave her lungs in one harsh exhale. They're getting bolder, Kofi continued. Storm's over, hunger's back. If we don't act, they'll come straight to her. And we'll stop them, Rachel said, steadying herself. Just long enough to get Luna away on her own terms. Kofi's temper finally broke through. Her terms? Rachel, she's an infant. She doesn't understand terms. She understands instinct. And instinct says stay with her mother, even if it kills her. So tell me, what logic are we supposed to follow here? Rachel didn't meet the heat of his glare. Instead, she turned toward Luna, who now rested her head against her mother's shoulder. Not asleep, just lost, drifting in a place only the grieving know. She deserves a chance to walk away, Rachel said softly, not be dragged from the last warm memory she has. Kofi threw up his hands. I'm sorry, I respect you, but sentiment doesn't save animals. Action does. If it were up to me, we'd sedate her now and be done with this. Noah opened his mouth as if to defend Rachel, but she raised a hand before he could speak. Noah, I need you to trust me on this. His throat bobbed in a swallow. I do trust you. I'm just scared. So am I, Rachel admitted. But being scared isn't a reason to abandon what's right. They stood in silence, listening to the distant calls of vultures gathering in the trees. The air smelled of wet earth and something heavier, inevitable decay. Riley shook himself off and trotted a few steps closer to Luna, giving a soft whine. Luna lifted her head, ears drooping, eyes hollow. Her gaze drifted to the lions, then back to her mother, then to Riley. A tiny, uncertain rumble escaped her. Rachel's breath caught. That sound. It wasn't despair, not fully. It was confusion, a question. She's trying, Rachel whispered. She's fighting herself. There's a part of her that wants to follow life. We just have to give it enough space to win. Or enough space to get her killed, Kofi muttered. Rachel ignored him and stepped forward just a little. Not close enough to crowd Luna, but close enough to let her see she wasn't alone. She spoke softly, letting the warmth of her voice do what words might not. Sweet girl, no one's trying to take her from you, but you deserve to live. You deserve a future she'd be proud of. Luna's ears twitched at the sound. She angled her head, watching Rachel with eyes glossy from exhaustion. Riley wagged his tail slowly, low to the ground. The lioness growled again, louder this time, Noah's hand tightened around the flare gun at his belt. "They're getting too close. We might need to fire a warning shot." "Not yet," Rachel insisted. But Kofi had already made his decision. "Enough. We're ending this." He strode toward the truck to retrieve the tranquilizer rifle. Rachel darted after him. "Kofi, wait!" "No," he snapped. "I'm responsible for this reserve. I won't let that calf be torn apart because you want to play therapist." The words struck her hard, not because they were cruel, but because she knew he believed them. That was the danger. He believed sedation was mercy. He believed force was rescue. Noah hovered on the edge of both worlds, torn. "Kofi, maybe give her a few more minutes." Kofi looked at the rifle, then at Luna, then at Rachel. 5, he said coldly. 5 minutes. After that, the dart goes in. Rachel felt the clock drop like a stone in her chest. She returned to Luna's side of the clearing, breath shaking. "Okay, sweetheart," she whispered. "I need you to take one step. Just one. Show me you want this." The calf lifted her head again. Riley chuffed softly and scooted closer, still keeping respectful distance. Luna shuddered, leaning once more into her mother's stillness as if bracing herself against a truth she didn't want to face. The sun crested the clouds, sending a thin beam over the clearing and across Luna's face. In that fragile light, Rachel spoke again, her voice cracking under its own tenderness. "Your mother's gone, darling, but you're still here, and you're not alone. Not anymore." A minute ticked by, then another. Rachel knew Kofi was watching the time. On the 4th minute, Luna shifted one foot, just a few inches. Mud sucked at her small weight as she lifted herself slightly away from her mother's shoulder. Rachel's hand flew to her mouth, emotion rising so fast it stunned her. The 5th minute began. Behind her, she heard the metallic click of the tranquilizer rifle being loaded, but Luna, still trembling, still torn, took another tiny step. Rachel held her breath, afraid even the sound of hope might break the moment. The calf hesitated, then finally, boldly, lifted her head and looked straight at Riley. And for the first time, something living pulled her forward more strongly than death pulled her back. The moment Luna lifted her head and looked toward Riley, the entire clearing seemed to shift. It wasn't dramatic. There was no sudden charge, no triumphant trumpet, no instant transformation, just a stillness, like the air itself was waiting to see what the little elephant would do next. Her ears twitched, her trunk lifted halfway, trembling. She took in the scent of the dog who had kept vigil beside her through the storm, through her grief, through the long night that had nearly broken them all. Rachel didn't dare breathe. Just a few feet behind her, she sensed Kofi lowering the tranquilizer rifle slightly, the smallest concession to hope. Noah whispered something. Maybe a prayer, maybe a plea. But even the wind held its breath. Riley, sensing the fragile moment, rose slowly from his sitting position. His tail gave one cautious wag. Not excited, not playful. Just a gentle acknowledgement, as if he were telling Luna that he was still here, still waiting, still willing to guide her wherever she needed to go. Luna blinked rain from her lashes. Her gaze drifted once more toward her mother's body, her entire small frame quivering with the impossible pull between life and death. She let out a low, mournful rumble, a sound so soft and broken that Rachel felt her heart crack open all over again. But Luna didn't collapse back into the mud. She didn't return to pressing her weight into her mother's stillness. Instead, she took a single, shuddering step toward Riley. A gasp escaped Noah. Even Kofi froze. The predators in the grass shifted uneasily at the movement, and one lioness stood up straighter, but the ranger nearest the boundary line fired a flare overhead. The bright streak hissed through the air, exploding in a sharp flash. The lions recoiled into the shadows, but Rachel knew they wouldn't stay back forever. Luna flinched at the flare, her body folding in on itself, but Riley responded instantly. He barked one soft, reassuring sound, then shook himself as if to say the danger had passed. Luna's ears relaxed just a fraction at the sight. "She's responding to him," Rachel whispered. "He's the anchor she needed." Kofi didn't speak, but she saw his grip loosen further on the tranquilizer rifle. Riley paced a few slow steps backward, tail low, inviting Luna to follow. The calf hesitated, lifting one foot, setting it down, lifting it again. Finally, timidly, she moved. Not far, only a couple of strides, but she moved away from her mother's body for the first time. Rachel swallowed hard against the knot in her throat. "Good girl," she whispered. "You're doing so well." But Luna didn't go farther. As soon as she realized how much distance now separated her from her mother's shape in the mud, she let out a shrill cry and hurried back, touching the cold skin with her trunk. She nudged the unmoving cheek, the folded ear. She made a sound that tore through the clearing, long and cracked and full of disbelief. It echoed the way grief often does. Sharp at first, then hollowed into something that lingers long after the sound fades. Rachel closed her eyes for a moment. She could almost see her sister again, her pale, lifeless hand the night of the accident, the way she had held it even after the paramedics whispered that there was nothing more they could do. She remembered the same ache Luna was experiencing now, the refusal to accept a world that dared to continue without the person you loved most in it. When she opened her eyes, Luna had begun pacing in circles beside her mother. Agitated steps tugged between instinct and despair. Riley waited patiently, sitting just far enough away that Luna could see him but not feel pressured. "What do we do now?" Noah asked softly. "We wait," Rachel answered. "We let her feel everything she needs to feel, and when she can't hold herself up anymore, she'll look for something living to lean on." As if on cue, Luna stumbled slightly. Exhaustion was claiming her, her legs unsteady, her breaths shallow and ragged. She tried to prop herself against her mother again, but Riley stood and took a bold step forward, placing himself halfway between them, not blocking the way, just offering an alternative. Luna blinked down at him. Mud streaked her small body, and her ears drooped with defeat. She let out another rumble, this one barely audible. Riley wagged his tail again, stepped backward 2 paces, and sat. And to Rachel's astonishment, Luna followed him. Only a few feet, but a few feet might as well have been miles. It was enough to prove that grief hadn't fully conquered her. There was still a thread inside her pulling toward life. "Look," Noah whispered, pointing. "She's choosing him." The sun had climbed higher now, its rays cutting through the thinning clouds and warming the wet earth. The first clean light of morning washed over Luna as she stood between her mother's body and Riley, torn, trembling, but no longer rooted entirely in loss. Rachel took a slow step closer, keeping her hands down. "Luna," she murmured, using the name she'd chosen in her heart sometime during the long night. "Sweet girl, it's okay to take one more step." The calf's gaze flicked toward Rachel. She didn't understand words, but she understood tone. Gentle, steady, patient. She shifted her weight. Riley rose and trotted a small arc around her, nudging her attention away from the body behind her. When he stopped and sat again, Luna moved toward him once more. This time, she didn't look back immediately. The breath that escaped Rachel trembled. "Thank God," she whispered. But Kofi wasn't celebrating yet. "This isn't over," he warned. "We need her far enough away that we can secure the area and remove the body. She won't like that. She might panic." "She won't," Rachel said with more confidence than she felt. "Not if Riley leads her." The dog must have sensed her hope, because he stood and walked a little farther, looking back at Luna each time. The calf followed in hesitant fits and starts, pausing to glance at her mother, then returning her gaze to Riley. Each step seemed to cost her something, but she kept going. It wasn't a rescue, not yet, but it was the beginning of one. When Luna had moved nearly 10 yards away, farther than she ever had before, Noah let out a breath he seemed to have been holding all night. "She's actually doing it." "For now," Kofi muttered, though even he sounded less combative. A sudden rustling near the tree line snapped everyone's attention outward. The lions were advancing again, slipping through the grass in a low, tense crawl. The flare had held them back, but only briefly. Hunger was a stronger force than fear. Kofi's face hardened. "We need to move, now." Rachel nodded, her gaze never leaving Luna. She felt the moment tightening, like a rope twisting between two anchors, life pulling on one end, death on the other. And in the center of it all stood a shivering calf who had lost everything, and a muddy dog who refused to leave her side. "Stay with him, Luna," Rachel whispered. "Choose life. Just keep choosing it." Riley barked once, sharp, insistent, and Luna flinched, then stepped toward him again. At that fragile, trembling moment, hope flickered into something real. Not safe yet, not certain, but alive. And for the first time since the storm began, Rachel believed the little elephant might actually survive this day. The clouds were thinning by the time Luna took those faltering steps deeper into the clearing, but the air still carried the heaviness of rain and the bitter scent of loss. The sun had begun its slow rise over the Mapalo Reserve, casting a faint gold shimmer on the mud, yet nothing about the moment felt warm. Luna's tiny shadow stretched behind her as she followed Riley, each step a trembling argument between instinct and grief. Rachel walked alongside the pair at a respectful distance, monitoring both the calf and the lionesses slinking in and out of the tall grass. The flare had bought them a little time, but the predators were restless now, hungry, frustrated, watching the situation shift away from their favor. Kofi had ordered the rangers into a wider protective circle, each man armed and alert, but everyone knew they couldn't hold, off a determined pride forever. "Keep her moving," Kofi muttered, eyes fixed on Luna. "The farther she gets, the better chance we have." "I'm trying," Rachel whispered back, "but if we push too hard, she'll run right back to her mother." And that was the truth. Every step Luna took seemed to stretch an invisible tether connecting her to the lifeless body behind her. It pulled at her, tugged at her, sang to her with the memory of warmth and protection she would never feel again. She paused repeatedly, her trunk curling back toward the scent of her mother. Her cries grew softer but more fractured, like a voice losing its ability to speak because it had cried too long. Riley slowed each time Luna hesitated, waiting with the patience only an old rescue dog could muster. His tail swept the mud, gently coaxing her forward again. Rachel marveled at him, how he seemed to understand the fragility of the moment, how he knew that healing wasn't a sprint, but a slow, trembling walk. About 20 yards from the body, Luna stopped entirely. Her body stiffened, her trunk lifted in the air, scenting something. Rachel's stomach dropped when she recognized the change in Luna's posture. "She smells the predators," Rachel said quietly. Noah looked toward the grass. "And the predators smell us." A rustle confirmed his fear. A lioness moved closer, still watching, still calculating, but no longer hiding her intent. Another joined behind her, head low, ears flattened, eyes fixed on the calf. "No sudden movements," Rachel warned, even though her pulse was hammering. "We just need Luna to keep going." Riley barked sharply, drawing Luna's attention away from the lions. The calf flinched, swung her head, then cried. A short, panicked sound that ricocheted through the clearing. She took 2 steps backward toward her mother. "No, no, sweetheart, don't," Rachel whispered, stepping forward instinctively. "Don't go back." But Luna had already begun turning, the familiar pull of loss stronger than the unfamiliar call of life. Noah cursed under his breath. Kofi hissed, "If she goes back now, she won't survive the next 10 minutes." Riley acted before any human could. He darted around Luna, planting himself firmly in her path. The little elephant froze, startled. Riley barked, loud this time, then lowered his head, tail stiff, signaling urgency rather than comfort. Luna's ears flattened in alarm. Her eyes darted between Riley, Rachel, and the tall grass. The scent of predators thickened the air. The two lions were now clearly visible, pacing at the edge of the clearing, muscles coiled with predatory focus. A tense silence filled the space. Rachel could practically feel Luna's heartbeat from where she stood, see the indecision trembling along her spine. For one agonizing moment, it seemed the calf would bolt back toward her mother. Then a distant sound sliced through the tension, a deep, resonant grumble of thunder. The remains of the night's storm rumbled across the plains. Luna's body jolted at the sound, her grief-worn nerves too raw to withstand another jolt of fear. She did what any terrified child would do. She turned back toward the only living creature who hadn't left her. Riley. Luna stumbled toward him, bumping his side with her small body as if trying to press herself into a shield that barely reached her chest. Riley whimpered softly, gently nudging her forward with his shoulder. And this time, mercifully, Luna didn't fight it. She followed. One step, then another, and the clearing collectively exhaled. "Good girl," Rachel breathed, "just a little farther." The rangers tightened their perimeter, stepping forward to subtly guide Luna toward safer ground. They didn't herd her outright. Any show of force would send her back into panic, but their presence created an invisible funnel directing her path. They moved slowly, feet sinking into the wet earth, hands poised on rifles and flares. The lions snarled in frustration, circling but not yet daring to challenge the armed humans. A vulture swooped low over the mother's body, and Luna let out a shattered trumpet of distress. But Rachel stepped closer and whispered, I know, but you can't stay here." It sounded like something she might once have whispered to herself outside a hospital room door. Gradually, painfully, Luna crossed the invisible line separating death from survival. When she reached a cluster of thorn trees where the mud turned firmer and the grass grew thicker, Rachel knew they had bought themselves the time they needed. "Here," Noah said, dropping a container of fresh water on the ground. He backed up slowly, giving Luna space. Riley trotted to the bucket and drank loudly, shaking his head playfully afterward. Water sprayed across the grass. Luna sniffed, then approached. Her trunk hovered above the bucket before she finally dipped it in. She drank deeply, her body sagging with exhaustion. It wasn't triumph, it wasn't healing, but it was a decision. Quiet, fragile, monumental. She was choosing life again, even if she didn't understand it. Kofi stepped to Rachel's side, lowering the tranquilizer rifle completely for the first time. "You did it," he murmured. Not praise, not softness, just acknowledgement. Rachel watched Luna drink, watched Riley stand beside her like a guardian made of fur and stubborn hope. "She did it," Rachel replied. "We just gave her a path." A shrill cry echoed from behind them, the lions giving up on the hunt, melting back into the grass. Vultures descended on the mother's body as the rangers prepared to form a secondary line of defense. Luna turned at the sound, sorrow etched into every line of her small body. She let out a rumble so filled with aching loss that even the rangers lowered their heads. Rachel whispered to her, "You don't have to forget her to walk away." It wasn't clear if Luna understood, but she didn't run back. She stayed with Riley, leaning lightly against him, grounding herself in his steady presence. And for the first time since Rachel had arrived in the storm, she let herself believe that Luna might just make it to another sunrise. The late morning sun had dried much of the clearing, turning the night's mud into cracked patterns that stretched across the rescue site like scars. Luna stood beneath a cluster of thorn trees, her small frame sagging with exhaustion. She drank occasionally from the water Noah had set out, but otherwise she remained perfectly still. too still for a calf her age. Riley sat beside her, leaning his warm body just close enough to be felt, but not enough to overwhelm her. He seemed to understand that she needed presence, not pressure. Rachel watched them from a short distance, her boots resting in the grass, while she scribbled a few notes in her field log. Not clinical notes, not the kind her training said she should take. These were for memory, for the quiet parts of rescue work most people never saw. Kofi and the rangers had already begun the grim procedure of securing the area where Luna's mother lay. The vultures screeched overhead, circling with maddening persistence. Rachel caught Noah staring toward the body with a look she recognized. Guilt. Not the kind that came from failure, but the kind born from witnessing suffering you couldn't prevent. "You okay?" she asked, walking over to him. Noah rubbed his forehead. "She's just a baby, Rachel, and she lost everything in one night." Rachel exhaled slowly. "I know, and she's handling more pain than most adults could." Noah swallowed hard. "It's like she's grieving the way a person would." "She is," Rachel said gently. "Elephants mourn deeply. Their brains process social loss in ways we still don't fully understand." Noah nodded, though his eyes remained fixed on the clearing. "Do you think she'll ever get over this?" Rachel hesitated before answering. "Not get over it, but she'll learn to live beside it. Grief doesn't disappear, Noah. It just rearranges itself." Noah's shoulders lowered slightly, the truth settling into him like a stone dropping into still water. He looked at her for a long moment. "You were talking about her, but you're talking about yourself too." Rachel didn't respond. She didn't have to. Kofi approached then, wiping sweat from his brow despite the cool breeze. "We're going to remove the carcass before sundown," he announced. "We need the predators gone, and we can't give the scavengers free rein this close to the ranger station." Rachel stiffened. "Not while Luna can still see it." "That's why we need to wait until she moves farther," Kofi said. His tone wasn't harsh, just matter of fact. "Riley bought us time, but she's still too close. If she sees us take the body, it could undo everything." Rachel nodded reluctantly. "Then we'll get her somewhere safe before that happens." "Somewhere?" Kofi asked. Rachel pointed toward a cluster of low hills where the reserve had built a temporary holding paddock. "There. It's not a cage, more like a controlled grazing area. She can rest, and we can keep predators out until we decide the next step." Noah nodded. "It's far enough from her mother's scent that she won't be pulled back. And close enough," Rachel added softly, "that if she needs to rumble her grief into the wind, she'll still feel like she's honoring her." The plans settled between them like a delicate truce. The real challenge was getting Luna to walk that far. The calf was already showing signs of extreme fatigue, her legs trembling, her breathing shallow. Trauma and dehydration had worn her down faster than any predator could. Riley wandered back toward Rachel, shaking dust from his fur. Rachel knelt to wipe a smudge of dried mud from his cheek. "You did good," she whispered. "But she's going to need you a little longer." Riley's tail swept the ground in a slow wag. Luna, hearing Rachel's voice, turned her head slightly. She watched them, uncertain but drawn in some wordless way to the calmness they shared. Rachel stepped toward the calf, careful not to look directly into Luna's eyes for too long. "Come here, sweet girl," she murmured. Luna didn't move. Rachel waited, allowing silence to do part of the work. Then Riley trotted forward, nudging her gently before continuing a few steps toward the hills. Luna blinked. She shifted her weight. One foot moved forward, quivering, unsure. Then the other. Rachel's heart swelled with relief. "That's it. Just stay with him." The procession was slow, painfully slow. Every few meters, Luna stopped and lifted her trunk toward the sky as if calling for someone who could no longer answer. Rachel walked beside her, whispering comfort without expecting her to understand the words. Noah followed behind, ready with water, while Kofi and the rangers formed a protective perimeter in case the lions returned. By late afternoon, the hills came into view. The paddock was open, shaded by acacia trees, with fresh branches scattered around and a small pond fed by a pipeline. It wasn't a home, but it was a place to breathe. When Luna stepped through the low barrier into the soft grass, she let out a sound so fragile Rachel felt her knees go weak. It wasn't quite a cry, not quite a sigh. Something in between, the release of a burden she wasn't ready to let go of but couldn't hold anymore. "She's safe here for the night," Rachel said, more to herself than anyone. Kofi nodded. "We'll take care of the body after nightfall. She won't see it." Luna lowered herself shakily to the ground, finally surrendering to exhaustion. She curled her legs beneath her and rested her chin on the grass. Riley lay down beside her, their bodies touching lightly. The sight of it nearly undid Rachel. The sun slipped behind the hills, painting the sky soft orange. Rangers moved quietly around the paddock, setting dim lanterns and checking the perimeter for predators. Rachel lowered herself onto a stool near the fence, watching Luna breathe. Noah brought her a canteen. "You should rest." Rachel shook her head. "Not until she sleeps." "You haven't slept either." She offered a tight smile. "I don't think any of us have." Noah hesitated, then asked the question she knew had been building. "Rachel, what happened to your sister?" Rachel's breath hitched. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she watched the calf, the rise and fall of her small ribs, the twitch of her trunk as she dreamed. "Car accident," she finally said. "Stormy night like this one. I arrived too late." Her voice softened to a fragile murmur. "I held her hand anyway. I didn't want to let go." Noah swallowed. "I'm sorry." Rachel nodded once. Grief doesn't ask permission. It just takes over, and it takes time to learn how to live again. A soft rumble carried across the paddock. Luna shifted in her sleep, leaning closer to Riley's warmth. Rachel watched them with a heavy ache and a quiet, unexpected gratitude. "She's not alone tonight," Rachel whispered. Noah followed her gaze. "Neither are you." Rachel didn't answer, but she didn't need to. The night deepened around them, peaceful for the first time since the storm. Luna slept. Riley watched over her. And somewhere between the edges of grief and hope, Rachel allowed herself to breathe. For one night, just one, every broken heart in the clearing had found a place to rest. The first light of dawn crept gently across the Mapalo Reserve, brushing the hillsides with pale gold. A cool breeze moved through the acacia branches above the paddock, stirring their shadows across the ground where Luna lay sleeping. For a moment, just a moment, the world around her was quiet. No lions stalking the edges, no thunder cracking open the sky, no frantic cries of loss. Only the soft rhythm of morning and the steady warmth of Riley pressed against her side. Rachel sat on an overturned crate near the fence, her jacket pulled tight around her shoulders. She hadn't slept more than an hour, maybe two, but she didn't feel tired. Not in the way exhaustion usually worked. Her body was worn, yes, her muscles aching from the long night, but her mind was alert, watching Luna breathe as though the rise and fall of that small chest might rewrite the world. Noah approached from behind, holding 2 steaming tin cups. "Coffee," he said softly, "strong enough to wake the dead." Rachel accepted the cup with a faint smile. Morbid choice of words. He winced. "Sorry, long night." "It's okay." She wrapped her hands around the warm metal. "Thank you." They stood in silence, watching the calf sleep. Riley finally stirred, stretching his front legs out before settling back down beside Luna. For all his training, for all his instinct, he looked like nothing more than a loyal friend who refused to leave her side. I've never seen anything like this, Noah admitted quietly. A dog helping an elephant grieve. It's something else. Rachel nodded. Riley has always had a gift for sensing pain. Human or animal, it doesn't matter. He just knows when someone needs him. Noah studied her expression. He helped you too, didn't he? Rachel didn't look at him. After my sister died, he wouldn't leave my bedroom for days. He slept right beside the door as if he was guarding me from something. Maybe he was. Noah lowered himself to sit on a nearby log. Maybe he's doing that again. Rachel didn't respond, but the ache in her chest softened a little. Behind them, Kofi approached with 2 rangers in tow. Lions cleared out completely, he reported. We handled the body late last night. She didn't see any of it. Rachel breathed out a long, relieved sigh. Good. The predators won't come back here, Kofi added. Too close to camp. Too many people. He paused, looking toward Luna. How is she? Exhausted, Rachel said, but alive. That's more than I expected 24 hours ago. Kofi gave a curt nod. We did good work last night. Rachel almost smiled at the attempt. Almost. We did, she agreed. As the sun climbed higher, Luna finally stirred. Her trunk twitched first, then her ears. Slowly, painfully, she pushed herself upright. Her legs trembled under her weight, and she swayed for a moment before finding balance. Riley was on his feet immediately, nudging her flank gently as she adjusted to the morning. Luna blinked sleep from her eyes and looked around, confused by her new surroundings. Her gaze landed on Rachel first, then Noah, then the hills and paddock fence. She let out a low rumble, uncertain, searching. Rachel stepped forward slowly. Good morning, Luna, she called softly. You're safe here. Luna took a half step backward, trunk curling slightly, unsure. Riley trotted forward and nudged her knee with his nose. The calf relaxed just a little, enough for her body to stop tensing like a tightened wire. See, Rachel murmured. He's still here. You're not alone. Noah carried over a bucket of fresh water and a shallow trough filled with chopped leaves and tender shoots. Let's see if she's interested in breakfast, he said. Rachel exhaled. It's been more than a day since she ate anything. She needs this. But when Noah set down the food and backed away, Luna only glanced at it before turning her head. She didn't reach for it, didn't sniff it, didn't even acknowledge it. Her grief still held too tightly. We can't force her, Rachel said. She has to choose it. Kofi frowned. If she doesn't eat soon, she'll collapse. Grief doesn't kill calves, starvation does. Rachel knew he was right. Elephants Luna's age still relied heavily on their mothers for comfort as much as guidance. Grief made them vulnerable, drained their will to eat. If Luna didn't find her appetite today, their battle would take a dangerous turn. Riley walked to the trough. He sniffed it, then looked at Luna. He barked once, high, encouraging. When Luna didn't respond, he did something unexpected. He stuck his nose into the pile of leaves and tossed a few into the air, letting them fall across his head like a ridiculous crown. Noah laughed under his breath. He looks like a salad bowl. Rachel smiled despite herself. He's trying to make it a game. Riley barked again and shoved his face deeper into the leaves. Luna watched him, ears twitching. Riley nosed around dramatically, snorting and pawing the trough until he finally pulled away with a leaf stuck to his forehead. He shook his head wildly until it fell off. Luna's trunk lifted. She leaned closer. That's it, Rachel whispered. Be curious. Riley pushed his paw into the pile and flung another clump of leaves into the air. One landed on Luna's trunk. She froze. Then, so subtly Rachel almost missed it, Luna flicked the leaf away with a tremble of movement. It was the first voluntary action she'd taken all morning. Come on, sweetheart, Rachel murmured. Just a little taste. Riley pawed the trough again. Luna lowered her head. Her trunk grazed the pile. She sniffed once, twice. Then, finally, she lifted a small cluster of leaves and placed them into her mouth. Rachel pressed a hand to her mouth, overwhelmed, tears burning behind her eyes. "Good girl," she whispered, barely able to speak. Luna chewed slowly, mechanically, like someone eating without hunger but with a faint recognition of need. And then she reached for a second mouthful. "That's it. That's what we needed," Noah said, relief flooding his voice. Kofi let out a long breath. "I'll be damned. She's actually eating." Luna continued, her movements clumsy but deliberate. Riley wagged his tail as if he'd just accomplished the greatest feat of his life. When the calf finally lifted her head again, a strand of leaf still hanging from her mouth, she looked directly at Rachel. And for the first time, the emptiness in her eyes wasn't bottomless. Something softer glimmered there. Pain, yes, but also something like trust waiting to be born. Rachel stepped forward, voice breaking. "You're choosing to stay with us. Thank you, Luna." The calf let out a small rumble, faint but steady. And as the morning sun warmed the paddock, Rachel understood that this was the moment the future began. Not with triumph, not with joy, but with a small, fragile choice to take the next breath and the next bite. It was enough. It was everything. The days that followed settled into a fragile rhythm, one built on quiet steps, long silences, and small victories that felt larger than life itself. Each morning, Rachel arrived at the paddock before sunrise, coffee in hand, to find Luna standing in the same spot where she'd fallen asleep the night before. The calf still carried the heaviness of grief like a mantle draped across her back, but she was eating now. Drinking, watching, choosing, bit by fragile bit, to stay tethered to the world of the living, and always, always. Riley was with her. The dog seemed tireless, moving at Luna's pace, encouraging her curiosity without ever pushing too far. He napped close to her during the hot hours, trotted beside her when she roamed a little farther from the trough, and curled against her side when she relived the night's ghosts in her sleep. On the fourth afternoon after her rescue, the reserve finally exhaled. The lions had moved farther out, following migrating herds. The hyenas had lost interest. Even the vultures had drifted off, searching for easier meals elsewhere. The air felt lighter, the wind warmer. The reserve breathed again, and so did Luna. Rachel watched her from the shade of an acacia, scribbling notes in her log. Nothing formal, only impressions. Luna's appetite had improved, though she still ate slowly. Her coordination was returning. Her eyes, once hollow, held glimmers of curiosity now, shining through the lingering sorrow. "She's looking better today," Noah said as he approached with a bucket of fresh browse. Rachel nodded. "She's adapting. Grief doesn't vanish, but she's learning how to carry it. And Riley, he's helping her remember how to be young." Noah set down the bucket. "That dog is a miracle worker." Rachel smiled softly. "He's been saving hearts his whole life. This one just happens to weigh 200 pounds. As if summoned by their words, Riley trotted toward them, tail wagging, tongue hanging out. He barked twice, then looked back at Luna as if urging her to follow. She hesitated for a moment, then, much to Rachel's quiet delight, took a few steps toward the humans. Her movements were cautious, but not fearful. Her trunk lifted, sniffing the air, catching the scent of the fresh leaves Noah had brought. "She's trusting us more," Rachel murmured. "Trust comes slow," Noah said, "but it sticks when it arrives." Luna wandered toward the bucket while Riley circled her in a happy trot, as though announcing her arrival. She sniffed the food, selected a leafy branch, and began chewing while swaying gently from foot to foot, a small instinctive movement calves make when they're relaxed. Rachel's breath caught. "Look at that. She's soothing herself." Noah said, voice soft. Riley, apparently energized by Luna's improved mood, found a fallen stick and began tossing it into the air. He pounced, spun, shook it violently, then threw it again. Luna watched him intently, her ears angling forward in fascination. "Here we go," Noah whispered. "She's interested." Riley repeated his performance, this time launching the stick higher and barking triumphantly when it landed. Luna stepped closer, 2 feet, then 3, her trunk lifting each time Riley moved. Then came the moment neither of them expected. Riley dropped the stick right at Luna's feet and wagged his tail. Luna blinked down at it, then at him. She nudged the stick gently with her trunk, nudged again, then finally, awkwardly, picked it up. For a heartbeat, she simply held it there. Then she tossed it back. It only flew a couple of inches, landing crookedly in the grass. But the effect was immediate. Riley barked with wild excitement, bounded forward, grabbed the stick, and tossed it in the air once more. Luna swung her trunk in surprise, and for the first time since the night her world shattered, she made a sound that wasn't grief. It wasn't a laugh. Not yet, but it was close. A soft, startled rumble filled with a flicker of delight. Rachel felt warmth bloom in her chest, a warmth she hadn't felt in years. "She's playing," she whispered. "Noah, she's actually playing." Noah exhaled a breath that turned into a quiet laugh. "Guess Riley should get a promotion." The game continued, clumsy on Luna's part, exuberant on Riley's. The calf's movements were hesitant at first, her body stiff as if waiting for her sorrow to pull her back again. But each time she nudged the stick, each time she watched Riley spin and bark and flop onto his back in theatrical joy, she leaned a little further out of her grief. Her trunk lifted higher, her steps grew bolder. Then something happened that almost brought Rachel to her knees. Luna lifted the stick once more, turned toward Rachel, and took 3 careful steps in her direction. She lowered the stick at Rachel's feet, as if offering her a turn. Rachel pressed a hand to her heart. "Luna," she breathed, stepping forward with tears prickling her eyes. "I'd love to." She touched the stick gently, not enough to scare Luna, just enough to acknowledge the preciousness of the moment. Riley barked approvingly, but the tender peace didn't last long. A sharp, distant crack echoed over the hillside, a sound Rachel recognized too well. A gunshot, then another. Noah spun toward the direction of the sound. "Poachers." Kofi, hearing the shots from across the campsite, sprinted toward them. "They're close, too close. Could be bushmeat hunters. Could be Ivory. Either way, we need to secure her." Rachel felt her throat tighten. "We can't move her yet, not abruptly. She'll panic." "Then we keep her inside the paddock," Kofi said firmly. "And we ready the defenses." The Rangers scattered, grabbing radios, weapons, whistles. Riley barked sharply, sensing the shift in tension. Luna froze, her body stiffening, ears wide. "No sudden movements," Rachel said gently, stepping closer to the calf. "It's okay, sweetheart. Stay with me." But Luna wasn't looking at her. She was staring at the horizon where the shots had come from, trembling, not in grief this time, but in fear. Old fear, deep fear. Rachel knelt beside her, voice low and steady. "You're safe here. Nobody will touch you." The calf released a soft moan, leaning ever so slightly into Rachel's presence, seeking reassurance the way a child might lean toward the sound of a lullaby. Noah returned from checking the perimeter. "There's still a ways out. We'll keep eyes on the ridge." Kofi approached with tight urgency. "We're going to need a plan. If those shots get closer..." Rachel stood, meeting his gaze. "Then we stay with her. Whatever happens, we stay." Luna lifted her trunk, brushing it gently against Rachel's sleeve. A small, almost accidental gesture, yet filled with meaning. Rachel touched her trunk in return, eyes soft. You're not losing anyone today. Not if we can help it. The paddock fell quiet again, except for the distant wind. Riley positioned himself between Luna and the hillside, his stance low and alert. In that fragile calm, Rachel realized something. Luna wasn't just surviving anymore. She was bonding, and bonds, once formed in the ashes of grief, could be stronger than anything that threatened to break them. The shots from the ridge faded into the distance, leaving behind a strained silence that hummed through the paddock like a warning waiting to settle. Rachel stood with her hand resting lightly against Luna's side, feeling the calf's shivers ease one breath at a time. Riley kept his place in front of her, alert, steady, tail low and still. The rangers held their posts until Kofi finally got word over the radio. The gunfire came from a group of local hunters chasing antelope farther east, not poachers. The immediate danger had passed, but the moment left its mark. Luna's fragile sense of safety had cracked open again. Her eyes stayed fixed on the ridge, the same ridge where the echoes of death had chased her nights ago in the storm. Rachel recognized that look. She had seen it in the mirror after her sister died. A gaze searching for something that couldn't return. "Hey," Rachel whispered, kneeling where Luna could see her face. "You're okay? We're right here." Riley nudged Luna's leg, reinforcing the promise. Noah approached slowly. "We're clear," he said softly, "but they'll be extra alert for a while." Kofi stepped closer. "We need to think about her long-term placement, Rachel. She can't stay in this paddock forever." Rachel exhaled. She knew this conversation was coming, but part of her wished she could freeze time, hold Luna here in this small pocket of safety until the world stopped being cruel. "I know," she said quietly, "but she's not ready for the wild. Not yet." "She doesn't need the wild," Kofi said. "She needs elephants." Those words landed with a weight Rachel couldn't ignore. Luna needed a herd, a mother figure, other calves, elephant mentorship, something no dog, no human, no paddock could give her. And yet, the thought of separating her from Riley and the fragile trust they'd built made Rachel's throat tighten. "We'll find the right place," Noah added gently. "Somewhere with experts. Somewhere she'll have a chance." Rachel nodded, though her heart resisted the truth. As afternoon settled into evening, the reserve grew calm again. The sky warmed to a soft amber glow. Luna grazed in small circles, still staying close to Riley and frequently checking Rachel's position with tiny glances of reassurance. But something else had changed, a new tension beneath the air, a shifting, a waiting. Later that night, after the rangers had rotated shifts and the lanterns cast long shadows across the paddock, Rachel sat outside the fence with Riley at her feet. Noah brought her a bowl of stew from the camp kitchen. She accepted it, though her appetite was thin. "You're thinking about the sanctuary," Noah said. Rachel didn't look up. "I've worked with them before. They're the best chance she has." "You mean the Willow Glen Elephant Sanctuary?" She nodded. "They take in orphans, bonded pairs, grief-stricken adults. They helped a 3-year-old orphan integrate into a surrogate herd in less than 6 months." Noah rested his elbows on his knees. "And they have matriarchs who know how to care for calves that come in broken." "Exactly," Rachel murmured. "Then it's the right place." Rachel pushed a hand through her hair. Knowing what's right doesn't make it easier. He nodded with quiet understanding. "No, it usually doesn't." Inside the paddock, Luna settled onto her side, curling her legs beneath her. Riley padded in and lay beside her, head resting gently on her shoulder. The sight hit Rachel hard. How seamlessly he had become her anchor, the thread that kept her tethered to life. "She's going to miss him," Rachel whispered. "She'll miss you too," Noah said. "But that doesn't mean you disappear. You can visit. You can stay involved." Rachel swallowed. "I know." But the fear wasn't about losing Luna. It was about losing the part of herself she'd finally begun to heal. Through the calf's grief, through Riley's steadfastness, through the improbable bond that rebuilt something inside her she hadn't realized was still broken. The next morning dawned with unexpected clarity. A breeze rolled down from the hills, carrying the scent of fresh grass and damp earth. Birds chattered loudly, as if celebrating the new sun, and Luna, against all odds, was brighter. Not healed, but brighter. She approached Rachel first thing, touching her with the tip of her trunk. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't fear. It was greeting. "Good morning, sweetheart," Rachel whispered, voice thick. "You're getting stronger." Riley trotted up and nudged Luna's leg, and the calf responded with a soft rumble, one that carried less sorrow and more awareness. Kofi approached with a clipboard. "I spoke with Willow Glen," he said. "They'll take her. They have a matriarch named Shara, who lost her own calf last year. She's taken in orphans before." Rachel felt her chest constrict. "When?" "As soon as we can transport her," Kofi answered. "Tomorrow, if she's stable. 2 days at most." Luna swung her trunk toward Rachel, sensing the shift in tone. Rachel forced a smile, though her eyes stung. She reached out and let Luna press her trunk against her palm. "It's okay," she murmured. "It's good. This is good." But part of her heart ached with the truth. Good things often hurt. Later that afternoon, after Luna had eaten and rested, Rachel opened the paddock gate for the first time since bringing her there. Noah and Kofi stood on either side, ready if Luna panicked. But she didn't. She stayed close to Rachel, walking beside her into the meadow beyond the paddock. Riley circled them excitedly, kicking up dust in happy arcs. They walked slowly through the tall grass, pausing whenever Luna hesitated. Rachel talked to her softly, about Willow Glen, about other calves, about finding family in unexpected places. She didn't know if Luna understood the words, but she understood the tone. She leaned closer each time Rachel spoke, brushing her side against her like a child seeking reassurance. As the sun began to lower, painting the landscape in copper and bronze, they reached the top of a small ridge. From that height, the world looked wide and possible. Rachel knelt beside Luna, placing a hand on her cheek. "This is where you're going," she whispered. "Somewhere big, somewhere safe, somewhere you'll have a future." Luna curled her trunk around Rachel's wrist, a gentle, deliberate gesture that made Rachel's eyes blur with tears. Riley sat beside them, tail sweeping the ground. Luna nudged him, then nudged Rachel again, as if memorizing the shape of them. Noah watched from a distance, wiping his eyes discreetly, and Rachel realized something then, something as bittersweet as any truth she'd ever felt. She wasn't losing Luna. She was giving her back to a world she belonged to, a world where she wouldn't have to be the calf who whispered, "Let me die with her," in every trembling step. A world where she could grow and lead and become the elephant her mother would have wanted her to be. As the last edge of sunlight kissed the ridge, Luna stood tall beside Riley, watching the horizon. Her trunk lifted, slowly, deliberately, in a soft rumble that vibrated through the air like a promise. A beginning, not an ending. Rachel placed a hand on the calf's back. "You're going to be okay," she whispered, "and I'll be right there with you. Every step you need." The sky darkened into twilight, and for the first time since the storm, Luna didn't look back.